What's up YouTube, welcome to the channel. So in this video we'll be discussing the subject of whether or not you need to use flexible trowels to get incredible results with your plastering. Well, why does it matter? Well, for many they believe that it's considerably more skillful to be able to just use one trowel and one hook all the way through your set to be able to get that nice result. But not only that, it's worth mentioning as well that many believe that flexible trowels actually make you lazier when it comes to plastering, and it is reducing the skill of many plasterers. Yes, never before has there been so many new tools coming to market, whether it be flexible trowels, plastic trowels, spatulas, speed skims, whether it be one coating, two coating, sponge floating, etc. The list goes on with these new tools and new methods. So can you still get excellent results just using one trowel all the way through? Well, today we're going to find out that question. Now, the trowel that I'll be using today is this one here from Marshalltown. It's a 13-inch carbon steel plastering trowel. Now, for those that watch us on or follow us on Instagram will know that around about the start of the year we bought the cement trowel and the plastic trowel from Marshalltown to try them out. You can see here this is the post. Now, those that follow us on social media will know that I actually tend to prefer the cement version of these two trowels. However, for the last 2 weeks I've been really putting this trowel through its paces. I haven't really used it for an awful lot since buying the trowel at the start of the year, so it's by no means worn in. Don't be mistaken by how dirty it is. That's only because me and Louis are fairly lazy when it comes to cleaning our tools. But you can see here it's certainly not what you consider particularly sharp. It's certainly not particularly worn in either. So the question is, can I get a decent finish just using this trowel all the way through the set? Well, let's find out. We hope you enjoy the video. But for the job that we'll be tackling behind me, there is a couple of alcoves and chimney breasts that I will be plastering. So I'm just going to use this trowel from start to finish to try and get that really nice finish. But to get us underway, let's start applying the plaster. Okay, so we're just going to start by filling the beads in. You might be wondering why the bottom section of the wall wasn't floated out and it's been boarded instead. The answer simply is that this isn't going to be a working fire anymore, rather just a feature. So just to make my life a bit easier, I've just dabbed it instead. So just looking just to get this plaster on as quickly as I can. Okay, so these have been allowed to pull in a little bit. If I was just to run my fingers on the wall here, you can see that the top is still slimy, but my fingers aren't digging in so much. So that enables me just to run my trowel over the walls. I've already done the alcoves. Unfortunately, alcoves being what they are, it's very difficult to get a decent camera angle. The board's just a little bit wet still, so I've done those off camera already. All I'm looking to do is just run the trowel over the plaster just to fill in some of those low spots. Leaning up against that picture rail. And just because it's picked up a little bit, just makes my life a little bit easier. Knitting. Okay, so these walls now have been allowed to pull in. I flattened them off. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go straight ahead and apply that second coat. It's exactly the same as the first coat. It's just a little bit of a tighter coat. So it'll be about 1 millimeter or so on this second coat. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to catch up at the point where I've applied that second coat to the walls.
Now, unfortunately, this is the point where I suddenly realise that the microphone for the camera that I'm using had packed in, sadly, so all of the talking I was doing in this clip is gone. But basically, the long and short of it is at this stage, I'm compressing the plaster and I'm basically really going over where I've flattened it in. And this is really the final part where I'll fill in any holes, any misses, and clean up against the picture rail just to really make the plaster look as neat as I possibly can before I start wet troweling. One of the things worth noting is that any misses that you don't pick up at this point will be filled in with fat, which is not really what you want. Okay, so we are now at the point where we're going to do our first wet trowel. I will say I apologise for the audio. Not only did we lose the audio on the other clips, but also sadly the microphone has died, so you're going to have to use the camera microphone instead. But the wet trowel, what we've done, we've left it for about 10 minutes or so, 10-15 minutes. Then we're going to start from the top, brush out that corner, just make sure it's nice and filled out. And I'm going to just do a pull down pass. Now this is the point where normally, certainly we would start using a flexible trowel. So the plaster's a lot firmer, so you haven't got the risk of it digging in. It's very tempting to use a flexible trowel too early because it gives this impression that it's giving a flatter finish, but the reality is when you use a flexible trowel to flatten the plaster, you're just inviting it to follow the deviation of the in the wall. You can't put any proper pressure onto the plaster. So that's the nice thing about using a stiffer trowel like a carbon steel or a stainless steel trowel. So it's a much more aggressive angle than we've been using before. What I do is follow that bead. So I'm expecting that where the plasterboard was to be a little bit wetter than the reskim. The reskim was obviously on old exposed plaster, so it does tend to dry a bit quicker. It was PVA'd a couple of times, but you would expect it to go a little bit quicker. And then what I will do is just run a margin trowel in the tops there, just to neaten those up a bit. Okay, so these have now had their first wet trowel. Now what I'm going to do is leave it for about 15-20 minutes, have a little bit of a clean up, and then I will do the second wet trowel going crossways, and then I'll use the same trowel, that 13-inch carbon steel Marshalltown, just to do a dry pass over the top of it. I'll probably do it off camera as it's pretty dull, just to close that plaster in, slick it up a little bit, and then that will be the finished article, and then we'll have a look at it when it's all finished. So with this top section here, I'm going to go over it several times. The reason being is I just won't be able to get the same amount of pressure on that I will be able to lie down. It's going to be a bit careful going up against a lot of angle on the trowel, lots of pressure. Okay, so this job is now done. You can see from the B-roll here, this is how it came out. And that was only using one trowel, no flexible trowel at all. All I did off camera was just do a dry pass using that carbon steel trowel just to slick it up a little bit, but in reality it wasn't completely necessary. So the question really is, do you need to use flexible trowels to get a nice finish? Well, no, of course you don't. In fact, those that are a bit long in the tooth with regards to plastering would have known that. But is there any value in just using the one plastering trowel? Well, what I can say is that over the last 2-3 weeks of just using this one here, the 13-inch Marshalltown trowel, which I've been using just for this video, is that it really helps you tune in to the right timings for the trowel you're using. Now, normally what happens before this 2 or 3 weeks is usually I'm either working on the giveaway trowel or the cement trowel, occasionally this trowel here, and then I will switch over to my 14-inch Nella Carbon, the one I've had for years that's really sharp. I usually, after about the second wet trowel, will swap back over to that trowel for the final couple of passes, just to make sure that the finish comes out really nice. However, just staying with one trowel all along, it's over the last 2-3 weeks, it's really helped me just tune in exactly when the right time to hit the wall is using this specific trowel. So I'm not trying to gauge it on whether I'm using a flexible trowel, whether I'm using my older carbon steel trowel, but rather just this one here. So there is an awful lot to be said for getting to know the one trowel that you're using all the time. The other thing also to bear in mind as well is that with flexible trowels, it gives the appearance that you're getting it flatter, that you're getting it smoother, and in reality, you're often not. And flexible trowels do tend to make us as plasterers a little bit lazy. It's a little bit kinder on your joints, and it tends to look a little bit better. The colour tends to be a little bit more uniform with a flexible trowel, because it's not really so much as cutting the plaster, but rather just sliding over the top of it. So there is a danger of using flexible trowels because it's easier and just making us a little bit lazier as a trade. So is there a benefit to using just one trowel? Absolutely. Not only that, for those that possibly are DIYers, or those that are home improvers, or just getting into the trade, you may only have one plastering trowel. Well, you can clearly see that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, these flexible trowels are very nice. We have many of them. We occasionally do use them for our sets. And sometimes when a set is going sideways, the only thing that can save it is a flexible trowel. But that doesn't mean that a flexible trowel is the backstop, that it is the thing that turns your work absolutely perfect. The reality is a high quality carbon steel or stainless steel trowel will get really very flat, very sharp, very crisp walls, very smooth, just using that one trowel. And there's something so nice about the simplicity of that. We actually did a post on our Instagram account. I'll put the picture up here of just some of the spare trowels that we have as a company, and that's not even all of them. We have so many plastering trowels, whereas in reality I can earn a day's money using just one trowel. I can't remember exactly how much it was, maybe £25, something like that, 25, 30 quid for this one trowel, and you can still churn out lovely smooth walls like the one behind me. So it's certainly something to think about. Maybe if we're finding ourselves buying every tool known to man in the pursuit of perfection, maybe there's something to be said for going back to basics with regards to plastering to try and improve the standard of our work. We hope this video has been helpful, certainly for those that are wondering whether or not to maybe switch back to just one trowel. It's certainly something that I've been considering over the last 6 months or so. I know that unfortunately in the position that we're in, we test a lot of trowels out all the time, but when we're not testing those out, we are finding ourselves just sticking to the one trowel, and there's an awful lot to be said for it. So we hope this video has been helpful. We hope you've enjoyed it. Consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. And thanks again.